Hello everyone, my name is Keane. For many years I have tried to explore the psyche of theist. I myself had once been a theist, and I have an understanding of why it is I thought some things were true and why I thought others were false. It was pretty clear to me that the reason why I believed what I believed was because this is what I had been told by my family and friends. I had never received any kind of supernatural divine intervention. I had never been spoken to by a God. I had never heard anything. However, when things in my life happened, such as positive things or negative things, I always attributed it had to have been a God. There were many times in my life where challenging things happened where I didn't know if I was going to be able to survive a situation. I've actually been in life or death situations where I was afraid for my life. And I remember convincing myself that if I simply had faith and I believed in God, He would protect me and He'd have my back at all times. And in doing so, I somehow convinced myself that everything was okay and I didn't have the fear anymore. It was very difficult for me to believe that the universe is as big as it is and great as it is, with all the millions of things that could go wrong in the universe, and here I am, this little ant floating on this unstable planet through a darkness and void such as space. It caused me to have a lot of fear. It caused me to have anxiety. The idea, holy cow, I could die so easily. I could walk outside my door. I could be killed in a car accident. I could be killed, hell, if a fucking jet engine were to drop on the roof of my home while I'm just trying to relax and watch movies. Religion helped with fears, but it also concluded and emphasized on others. Some people are able to get to the point where they can comprehend their own destruction. They can get to a point where they accept the inevitable, where they know one day I will die and there's nothing I can do about it, others can't. And like the person who, such as myself, who when I got into bad situations that I couldn't rationalize or bring myself to understand why unnecessary bad things were happening to me, I always had to say something to the effect of, there had to have been a bigger picture, that God had a plan, that He had a understanding of what was going on, and in doing so, of course, it was like a theotoxin that got me through to the next situation in my life. Now, some people might look at that as positive, some people might look at that as negative. They might think, wow, it's a self-defense mechanism where a person may use this delusion in order to help them. Some people might think, hey, that's cool. If it helps you and it makes you deal with your fear better or makes you deal with painful scenarios, then what's the problem? Well, the problem is the key word is delude myself. Lying to myself and pretending as though there is something there, some invisible external force that actually cares about me. That is delusional, and that is almost reaching to the point of insanity, just because I myself at one point in time could not deal with the reality and impact of the situation. Now, I've tried to explore theists whenever they're going through their phases and their abilities, and being that I was a former theist, I wondered, was it psychotic? Was it brainwashing? What was it exactly? Well, the difference between myself and many other theists is that at one point in time, I decided that I cared enough to be able to do research and find out if what I believe is true. If I truly cared about a God and I truly cared about the origin of humanity and how the universe began, then perhaps I should study. Perhaps I should look into all the information as opposed to just the Bible and what my preacher tells me. If, however, I would have decided that the Bible was the one true source and that all the other information out there was a lie, and everything throughout history and science and everything that is out there beyond my credentials of what I understand and know is wrong, just because I am stuck with the Bible and stuck with my faith, then one would have to be able to rationalize that that would be absolutely insane and even bordering on fucking stupidity. Now, I myself, I was not insane. I realized and I acknowledged that there was other information out there. There were other religions. There were other alternatives, as opposed to just reading the Bible, going to church on Sunday, and believing whatever the fuck my preacher told me. If a person chooses to disregard and ignore thousands of years of history, thousands of years of immoral humans causing war on one another, intentionally causing propaganda, lies, and destruction on one another, and somehow can convince them that this old cryptic tome called the Bible was undefiled by the hands of humanity, that somehow there is no way in their mind that the pages of the Bible could have been altered in the text and the language and all this, then someone would have to peer close into the eyes of a person who claims this or believes this and wonder if there's something wrong with them on a mental level, if there's something wrong with their fucking facilities and their brain to be able to process the diatribe that they've put forth. It is insane to believe that the Bible and the Quran and all these different forms of literature out there have not been touched by the hands of humanity, that they have not been altered for some purpose, whether it be profit or just simply an ability or tool to brainwash people. So that's how I feel about it. That's how I see it. The very definition of insanity is to basically be convinced without a doubt that you are absolutely correct in your view. Like let me give you an example of this and stuff so you don't get lost here. A person believes that going out and murdering and killing people, they believe in their view they are absolutely correct and right for what they're doing. And they don't even realize in their head that what they're doing is wrong or immoral. They just continue to do what they're doing, and they think that that's just the way it is. How there's some people who even believe that they are God, who think it's okay to just continue to kill, that their way is absolutely true and absolutely the right way to go. A sane person would acknowledge that they don't know everything, that they don't understand, and they don't have all the information in the universe, and that they could realize that morality changes over time, and that the reason why morality changes is we are in a self-correcting system where we are constantly trying to make a better way, a good way to do things. 50 years ago, someone's version of what morality should be and how to do things may seem completely insane to the person who is in our time period. Being that we know that we have come from a primitive way and we still haven't completely mastered ethics and the understanding of one another, it would be difficult to believe, going way back in time, that humans had any more answers than what we have now. We have become somewhat of a civilized society. We have become to the point where we can share information within seconds through the internet and through emails, and we have a library in front of us. Before, we didn't have any of this. We didn't have the processing of information or anything. The Bible and all of its text and all the text that has ever went through any of these religions, even paganism and literature, was constantly scrutinized and under the hands of man. Now, since we know historically, as well as even in our own date and time, that man has fucked up over and over and over again and is willing to go beyond the limits of the sky to deceive other people, how can anyone 100% or even in the 80% range believe what they're reading in the Bible? unless they've had a God actually speak to them in an audible voice, unless they've had some kind of God perform some kind of miracle in front of them and prove itself, they have absolutely no reason to continue to believe the horseshit that they're believing. There's a difference between having faith or hope than that of just complete and utter stupidity and insanity. A person who has faith or a person who has hope is the person who walks into a store, buys a lottery ticket, and hopes when they go out to their vehicle and they're scratching it off that they're going to win. But the person knows in their sane fucking mind that there's a good probability that they may not win. However, if they do win, it'll be by luck and chance that they were there at the right moment at the right time. A psychotic person or a person who is just plain stupid will believe that every time they go to get the lotto card that they are definitely going to fucking win. That somehow the world and all of its machines and technology and all life itself is somehow centered around them, to where anything they think will happen or whatever they've convinced themselves to believe will happen. And when they get the goddamn bullshit lottery card where they don't win, this doesn't register in their mind. That their opinion and their view of if they were going to win or not is over. They have lost. And they can't accept that. Instead, they continue to come back over and over and over again, wasting their time, their life, their money, and they never can understand that it's not going to happen. It's just not. These same people may watch other people on the news who may have won, who may have lost. And it continues to motivate them to continue to try. There's nothing wrong with trying. There's nothing wrong with having a little hope. There's nothing wrong with having faith that you might win or you might lose. Nothing wrong with it whatsoever. But if you convinced yourself that the entire universe centers around you, and that you're going to win at every single thing that you do when the odds are against you, you might need to recheck shit. The entire point of what I'm trying to make here is that all religions are playing the lottery. Every single religion out there, whether it be Muslims, pagans, Christianity, they're playing the lottery. They're playing a game in which they cannot win. The odds are against them in every way. They have no evidence, no information, no history, no science to back up anything that they say. Yet they conclude that in the end, they're going to win. They don't care how many religions are out there beyond their own nose and beyond their own church or their own mosque that they believe in. They feel like they're simply going to win because why? They don't even know. They just keep on playing the game, and they don't know why it is they continue to play the game. They think that there's some kind of great and wonderful reward at the end of it. And the reward is, of course, that they're going to be well off for the rest of their existence, and anybody else that doesn't win the lottery is fucking dead or destroyed. One would have to question the perspective of a person who is like that, who is fine with the idea of other people losing the game as where they win. Them being happy with getting every single thing they want, but other people losing and being miserable for the rest of their existence. This is without a doubt a person who does not care, a person who is only focused on their own being and their own welfare, their own desires, their own temptations and lust. Now, the atheist simply doesn't play the game. The non-believer is the person who sits back and does not give a shit about the damn game that is being played. The non-believer is the person who is going to do research and study and find out why it is that the lottery game is even happening. Why is it that people keep on playing a game that they never win at? The difference between lottery, the game of lottery, is that unlike religion, sometimes, not very many times, but rarely, someone actually wins. No one has ever won in religion. No one has ever died and come back and said, "Guess what? I won the lottery. I won and you lost." No one has ever done this before, yet people continue to play nonetheless. Is it insane? Is it psychotic? Is it stupid? Why is it that people can't stop just for a moment before they go to buy the lottery card and question why exactly they're doing this and what is the reason and motivation behind it?